Hey everyone, I wanted to go over the new and not so exciting news that we got for Danganronpa Decadence that's set to release onto the Nintendo Switch on December 3rd. Now if you haven't necessarily been paying attention, this package will be including all the 3 main games plus an extra one as well. Danganronpa Trevor Happy Havoc Anniversary Edition, Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair Anniversary Edition, and of course Danganronpa V3 Killing Harmony Anniversary Edition. With the brand new edition of Danganronpa S Ultimate Summer Camp. This was essentially a little bit of a mini game, like a little bit of an RPG, traditional, more casual game that was actually added into Danganronpa V3 Killing Harmony, but is now being fully fleshed out into its very own standalone title. But it's also going to be part of this complete package as well. So essentially you are getting 4 full games in this release. Now the official Spike Chunsoft website updated itself a couple of months back, and I made a separate video on it covering basically all the details that Ultimate Summer Camp will be adding, and I'm going to leave a link in the description below, not just for those sets of news but also that video where I covered basically everything in the game you need to know about. But now they went ahead and updated the website again, and they went ahead and provided us with a couple of more interesting details regarding the mini games that is going to be part of this game. Now, in traditional RPG fashion, essentially you will be unlocking characters, but the characters are basically locked on side a little bit of a gacha minigame that in the original release back on the Danganronpa V3, they were pretty much like gacha mechanics. They were pretty much like you had to spend in-game currency to be able to unlock them, and essentially it was very hit or miss. If you played the game for a long period of time, you were going to be able to get pretty much all the basic characters that you wanted, and there were even rarities tied to the characters that you would unlock. With that said, they seem to be changing a little bit of how it's actually going to work in this version of the game, and they're actually going to be adding like a real money incentive for you to be able to unlock some of the characters. Now to contextualize this further, remember, we are just talking about Danganronpa S Ultimate Summer Camp. The very first 3 games are still very much what they are. They're not necessarily changing all that much. But this ultimately separate very own mini game type of thing is kind of being added with like microtransactions, and it's not something that you should be necessarily too excited about. When the original information dropped a couple of months back, I actually speculated that this would probably end up something that they would end up doing, and a lot of people in the comments assured me and perhaps reassured me that it wouldn't necessarily be something that they would do, because originally, like I mentioned before, the game simply didn't have any sort of like real money microtransactions. But now, according to the new information that they're providing us with, that's actually going to change altogether. So I'm just going to read a little bit of what the information that they provide us in their official website, which again I'm going to leave in the link description below so you can check it out for yourselves. It says there's many Mono machines in the school store. Spend your Mono coins and Mono Me coins at the Mono machines at the school store for a chance to be able to pull characters and items. 3 types of Mono machines have different drop rates and require machine specific coins. You will gain a greater advantage as you obtain new characters and items, so don't hesitate to use up your coins as they come in. Now obviously this is just referencing in-game currency as of right now. Then it follows. For example, the Mono Yashin is more likely to grant Swimsuit SR cards, while the Golden Mono machine only contains high rarity cards. Don't worry for saving coins, keep spending them to fill out your roster and inventory. All content such as characters, character upgrade cards, and items can be unlocked by playing the game, and this is the interesting part. All characters and all character upgraded cards can also be purchased through the Mono machines at the school store with real world money. And essentially that's the real issue at hand, that they're now going to be starting to charge with real microtransactions and real money. They make it very clear to essentially be able to unlock some of these in-game characters, which again in the previous version of the game in Danganronpa V3, they were just in-game purchases. It wasn't necessarily something that you had even the option to be able to purchase real money. Now this time around, because this is very own standalone game, perhaps they feel justified to be able to give you a microtransaction option if you don't necessarily want to do all the grinding in-game naturally. But it does seem a little bit weird and a little bit unnecessary, seeing how this is pretty much such a good collection that they're putting together. Again, only the real other spin-off game that I do believe is missing, there's 1 game missing. Out of everything, there's just the 3 main game and this new edition of the Ultimate Summer Camp game. So it's for such a good collection that they're putting together, it seems a little bit weird and a little bit dirty that they're gonna start adding like real world money currency for just like a weird RPG mini game that is just fan service. So it just feels weird and gross and completely unnecessary, and uncalled for, to be quite honest with you. But again, this was something that I speculated before, where I talked about it was just like they're most likely going to end up adding microtransactions because it's a gacha game. Like, it's pretty obvious that, you know, they should be doing something along those lines, or they could be doing something like that, and it turns out to be, of course, they're going to take that opportunity and run with it. Do keep in mind that you can purchase all the games separately, so if you don't necessarily want to even partake in this Danganronpa Ultimate Summer Camp game, you can purchase just Danganronpa 1, 2, and 3 separately, available in the eShop. Again, I don't even think this game is going to be available on like PlayStation or PC, so it's just a Switch exclusive for now, or at the very least at launch. So it's going to be one of those things where like you can certainly purchase it separately, but you don't necessarily even have to jump into this game. It also brings into question, why would you even want to have negative publicity when it comes to microtransactions in a game like this? Again, with all the positive publicity that Decadence has received since it was announced, it just seems kind of weird and completely, again, unnecessary for them to take this route and essentially just add microtransactions for something that, again, is just a very much a casual gacha like RPG. This doesn't seem to be like a game that people who are jumping into the series for the very first time are even going to understand who all these characters are or anything like that if they don't actually go back and play all the first 3 games. You wouldn't even necessarily even have attachments to any one of the characters to begin with because you haven't played all the other games, so you wouldn't even necessarily know like why a certain character is rarer than another and one of them has even like more important rarity or anything along those lines, because you don't have attachments to those characters. So it just feels even more unnecessary and weird for them to go ahead and take this specific route for, again, the more casual mini game focused RPG that they're going to be including in this package. Now, it doesn't necessarily also detail if Danganronpa V3 will actually have the base version of the game removed. Remember, this was a mini game that was part of Danganronpa V3 originally, and we don't necessarily know if that base version of the game, the one that had no microtransactions, is also going to be removed, or is just not going to be part of the package at all. I would presume that it would be, but that's just me speculating. I don't necessarily know. With all that said, because they are adding in more assets, more characters, I do believe they talked about like adding new features and new mechanics to this version of Ultimate Summer Camp. I do believe that they're most likely just going to end up trying to make this one the main version of the game and kind of like officially pretend like the V3 version 1 essentially never existed, but that's just, again, speculation on my side. I don't necessarily know, and they haven't told us that information. If we had that full transparency, perhaps that wouldn't necessarily be an issue. But again, I'm going to leave a link in the description below for you guys to check out all this information from their official website. It's interesting that they're choosing now to say this instead of when it was officially revealed. I do find it, again, just weird they're taking this route, but you know, it is what it is. I guess they have to make money one way or another. But hopefully you guys found this informational. If you are brand new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up. And as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya.